Hello, and thanks for joining us on Chicago Tonight. I'm Brandis Friedman. Paris Schutz has the evening off. Here's what we're looking at. 6 fatalities and numerous crashes on I-55 after a dangerous dust storm.
What I heard directly from our city department heads was, we're going to have to make some tough decisions in the next couple weeks.
City officials say Chicago has reached max capacity for shelter space as more migrants arrive. Looking at the cause of flooding along the Mississippi River.
If you don't have your health, you don't have much else.
It's a crucial time for those who rely on government-backed health insurance.
I don't know that it can be fixed. I think it's a prison that frankly should be shut down.
And calls for one of the state's oldest prisons to be closed. And now to our top story tonight. Chicago officials and community groups are scrambling as more asylum seekers are being sent here. But they say the city is out of money, space, and staffing. Reporter Joanna Hernandez joins us from outside the 10th Police District station in North Lawndale with the latest. Joanna.
And Brandis, the city says there's about 150 asylum seekers arriving daily to the city, and they're having a hard time finding places for them to stay. I've seen at least 4 families inside this police station, including a pregnant woman. The 10th district is one of multiple police precincts where families have been staying, waiting to be moved to a temporary shelter in the city. But officials say there's not enough beds. Baltasar Enriquez, president of the Little Village Community Council, has been organizing efforts since August, helping migrants with housing and connecting people with jobs. He says adults and children have been sleeping at the 10th district for at least 2 months.
They brought them here to the council, and we said we can't house them because this facility can't house people. So they said drop them off at the police station. So you have families since 2 months ago from Colombia, Venezuela, even some Romanian families came in.
In Rogers Park, Alderwoman Maria Haddon reopened a field house to assist with the surge of asylum seekers. More than 8,000 migrants have been bused from the Texas border, with some now arriving on planes and more expected here. Remember, Chicago is a sanctuary city and Title 42 expires on May 11th. That means the government will revert back to previous immigration law, allowing border officials to deport asylum seekers faster. Many could face prison if caught trying to cross.
The state stopped their emergency funding in December, and that means they also stopped receiving people and working with people. So the city's been taking everybody. So now we've got these systems set up for single adults. We have to set up systems for people with children. So Leon Beach Park Fieldhouse is one of these it's only 100-person capacity. I think there's like 130 people there right now.
For months, hundreds of migrants have been placed at Salvation Army shelters, hotels, churches, and recently at a closed Woodlawn school. Now, city officials are saying they don't have the funds to continue to long-term support migrants. Recently, city agencies broke down the numbers of what it costs to house and provide social services to them. The city has so far received $5.5 million from the Federal Emergency Management Agency to care for migrants who arrived in 2022, but have yet to receive anything this year. We're told it takes millions to provide staff and to repair potential temporary shelters. In a news conference today, Governor J.B. Pritzker said he has done what he could to help Chicago and asked President Biden for more money from the federal government, which he says hasn't provided nearly enough.
There is new money that is available. We believe, we hope, we've heard that perhaps we're going to receive some of that money this week or next week, and we're hopeful of that, but who knows. Meanwhile, my job is to balance the budget of the state of Illinois and take care of the people that are here in our state, all of our residents.
As for what's next, Alderwoman Haddon suggested a better system to unite local agencies and grassroots organizations by having weekly check-ins with all the wards, not just separately with the city.
Really the big next task. So sitting down the city with county partners, with state partners, with organizational partners to say we're probably going to have to stop programming or relocate programming from existing spaces if we can't find other spaces that are not in use.
And one of the major challenges will be finding bigger spaces for families to stay together. City council members suggested the McCormick Place or city parks, but that could easily also come with the cost as well. Reporting live from North Lawndale, I'm Joanna Hernandez. I send it back to you.
Joanna, thank you. Of course, a tough situation for folks to figure out there. And now to some of our top stories. A dust storm in south central Illinois causes numerous crashes and at least 6 fatalities. The crashes have shut down traffic on Interstate 55 in both directions in Montgomery County, midway between Springfield and St. Louis. Illinois State Police says the crashes occurred late in the morning and involved 40 to 60 cars and multiple tractor trailers, 2 of which caught fire. State Police anticipates the section of I-55 where the crashes occurred will remain closed through this evening. Shootings and homicides in Chicago are down more than 10% through the first 4 months of the year. The Chicago Police Department says there have been 166 homicides in the city year to date. That's fewer than the same time periods in 2022 and 21. There were 52 homicides recorded in April, which marks the first time this year that the number of homicides actually increased for a single month compared to the previous year. The 641 shootings recorded this year so far is also the lowest total for this time period since 2020. A move to decriminalize hanging air fresheners or other items from your rearview mirror. Yeah, you heard that right. Turns out that having any items hanging from your rearview mirror, whether an air freshener or a rosary or disability placard, is currently illegal in Illinois. But a new proposal backed by Secretary of State Alexi Janulius and state lawmaker LaShawn Ford would legalize hanging items from a rearview mirror. Proponents of the bill say the current law is often used as a pretext for police traffic stops. House lawmakers passed the measure in April, and it's now awaiting a vote in the Senate. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office announces a new centralized system to store, analyze, and disseminate digital evidence. In a statement, Cook County State's Attorney Kim Fox says, quote, with the standard use of video to solve crimes, the volume of digital evidence associated with these cases is staggering. Fox says her office reviews more than 30,000 felony cases each year, and the new platform should help speed the processing of criminal cases. Funeral rites today for the owner of the iconic Margie's Candies, Dr. Peter Poulos. The store on the corner of Western and Armitage was founded by Poulos' father in 1921 and has served ice cream and candy to Chicagoans for more than a century. Dr. Poulos, an avid fisherman and sailor, died last week in Evanston, according to his obituary. He was 86 years old. Up next in the show, the dangers of high Mississippi River water levels. Stay with us.
Chicago Tonight is made possible in part by Alexandra and John Nichols, the Jim and Kay Mabey family, the Polk Brothers Foundation, and the support of these donors.
It's been a month of highs and lows, Chicago. I'm talking about spring, which has been a weather roller coaster of summer-like warmth in the 80s, followed by snow and unseasonably cold temperatures. That spring surge of rain and melting snow has led to dangerously high water levels on the Mississippi River. And when can we expect those pleasant May temperatures? Here to help us figure it all out and weather the storm is, of course, Scott Collis, atmospheric scientist and department head at Argonne National Laboratory. Scott, welcome back.
Thanks, Brandis.
So let's start with the local weather. You wouldn't guess it by looking out the window today, but it is May 1st. What's with the weather extremes that we've had over this last month?
Yeah, we're about 20 degrees below normal for May 1st. And the thing about Chicago in spring, right? Chicago can get its weather either from up near the North Pole or down from the Gulf of Mexico. At the moment, we've been just flipping back and forth and back and forth. The good news is things are going to slowly get better this week. And, like every Chicagoan knows, if you don't like the weather, wait a little while.
Just wait 5 minutes. Yeah, that's what everybody wants to hear, I think. You said more typical May temperatures later on this week. What kind of May temperatures are we looking at?
That's right. So the normal temperature for this time of year is around 65 degrees. So we're going to raise into the 50s tomorrow, really hitting those mid-60s by Friday, and then on into the 70s by Sunday.
That's what everybody wants. So let's talk a little bit about what's happening in western Illinois, where the Mississippi River is pretty high. What is the latest there?
At the moment, areas around Dubuque and Davenport report up way past major flood level, something like the 3rd highest levels on record. And it's all because of rapid snowmelt up in Minnesota and northern Wisconsin and Michigan. Remember that warm up we had a little while ago that's making these temperatures feel really cold now? That had a radical melting effect on the snowpack up there.
Okay, so it looks like the Mississippi River, has it crested at this point? Is the worst behind us?
It's like a slug of water moving downstream. So it's actually at crest right now for western Illinois, you know, with Dubuque in Iowa and Davenport. That's going to move downstream. So as far as we're concerned, things are getting better, but it will continue to move down to the south of the state.
Okay, so let's talk about this project that you're working on that involves our neighbors at Northeastern Illinois University. How's it going to work, and what do you hope folks can learn from this project?
This is the Community Research on Climate and Urban Science, which is the Department of Energy Urban Integrated Research Lab. We are instrumenting the city of Chicago and building a new model in computers to simulate the impact of climate change on Chicago at a neighborhood level.
When you say instrumenting the city of Chicago, what kind of instruments and what are you putting where?
So we're going to have 21 sites across Chicago. These are state-of-the-art instruments, including shooting lasers into clouds. That sounds really, really cool, and it is.
Because science.
To really understand, you know, the things that really cause environmental injustice in Chicago, urban flooding, heat islands, and bad air quality, and look at a future of climate in Chicago where we can build more equitable solutions to the climate crisis.
Would you say this conversation that we've been having about sort of wacky weather over the course of the spring, is that evidence that, you know, the extreme temperatures, the flooding, that Chicago's already experiencing disruptions in climate change?
Absolutely. Climate models tell us that the more we warm the planet, the more we get these extremes, and it actually flips from one extreme to the other. Chicago's rainfall is expected to be relatively stable, a little bit more going to the future, but we're going to get more of it in more frequent floods, but also flash drought in between it.
And what does this mean for the communities of Chicago?
Well, so what this really does is it helps put numbers behind the things we already know. We already know trees are good, plants are good, prairie plants are good, and they help with drainage, better air quality. What Crocus will do is actually measure how good and actually give communities actionable data behind nature-based solutions.
And before we let you go, some of the partner organizations that you're working with on this.
Very proud to be working with Blacks in Green, Puerto Rican Agenda of Chicago, the Greater Chatham Initiative, and the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. Crocus really gets into those communities, and we're not just working with them, they're helping form our science questions.
Okay, looking forward to seeing what you all come up with. I'm sure we'll have you back to talk about it.
Wonderful.
Scott Collis, thanks so much.
Always a pleasure.
Up next, behind the walls at one of the state's oldest prisons. Stay with us. Just 99 miles southwest of Chicago sits Pontiac Correctional Facility, one of 3 maximum security state prisons in Illinois. It houses more than 400 people who've been convicted of murder, another 279 convicted of Class X felonies, ranging from sexual assault to armed robbery, and hundreds of others serving time for less serious offenses. But it's become known as a prison's prison, one of the worst in the state. Just last fall, a corrections officer was stabbed by an inmate, leading guards to demonstrate to raise awareness. Inmates have accused guards of abuse and inhumane treatment. But critics say the problems aren't just between the guards and the inmates, but with the prison itself. The climate inside Pontiac is fraught. Letters from men who've been imprisoned behind these walls tell part of the story. This one from 28-year-old Jermaine Young says, quote, "On July 26, 2022, Lieutenant Bowden had assaulted me by kicking me in my chest and hitting me in the head and neck, which is all on camera. I was in restraints the whole time from my hands and feet, so it was nothing I could do, even if I wanted to." Another inmate, Paul Smith, writes about the poor living conditions we as inmates are subjected to, e.g., poor health care, living in condemned cells, drinking contaminated water, black mold everywhere. Later in his 4-page letter, Smith writes, quote, "I left out the mass infestation of mice and roaches and bugs." Pontiac Prison is one of the oldest in the state, opened in 1871. And the conditions that come with its age are just part of the reason inmates and advocates call it inhumane. Another reason is the climate inside. Jenny Vollen of the John Howard Association advocates for the incarcerated in Illinois.
We have staff who claim that it's the highest level of violence throughout the system, that it's a very unsafe place to work.
Illinois Department of Corrections records from the Jermaine Young incident show a lieutenant did use his knee to strike Young in the chest while he was restrained. Lieutenant Bowden told investigators Young's comments to, quote, see what he was going to do made him feel as though he might assault staff. WTTW News has gone to court to obtain access to the internal video of the incident, something the state so far has denied. And there's no way of knowing how or even if Officer Bowden was disciplined.
We should have far more information about the people that work inside prisons, when they're disciplined, why they're disciplined, what is the outcome of that discipline. None of that information is publicly available.
Another Pontiac problem, the number of incarcerated people designated as seriously mentally ill, 26% according to state data.
Pontiac was short-staffed 43%.
Rob Jeffries, who just stepped down after nearly 4 years as director of the Department of Corrections, acknowledges the state has been hit with 2 lawsuits leading to consent decrees over its physical and mental health care programs.
Corrections has become the default for the mental health. And so unfortunately, we have 43% of our populations on some type of mental health caseload.
But he claims the state has been working to address the issues.
Putting policy in place, putting auditing practices in place, increasing our staffing levels, and not only that, looking at the mission at particular facilities to provide those type of mental health treatment for our population.
IDOC documents show in fiscal year 2023, Pontiac had the highest number of self-harm incidents across all 45 IDOC facilities. The prison also posted the highest number of people on suicide watch between 2020 and 2023, with the lowest for any given month being 44 people on suicide watch, peaking at 99 for the month of June 2020. The facility averaged 10 suicide attempts a year between 2020 and 2022, and already 13 from summer 2022 to February 23. It's not just mental health staff. Pontiac is also short on corrections officers, the biggest deficit of any facility in IDOC.
We have people quitting. I believe there's 53 security, mostly officers that have resigned in 2022 through January of 23. We're not even keeping up with retirement, let alone promotions.
The union representing prison guards says the facility has only 53% of the staff it needs to function, leading to lots of overtime and burnout. IDOC says that's why it closed its medium security unit last year, moving those inmates into maximum security. But that appears to have caused more frustration and tension.
What property do they get? What do they not get? What's their yard schedule? Do they get day room? We don't have day room in the max. Gym schedule, all these little things that they had so easily on the MSU, they're not getting.
And for the men imprisoned here, the difference between medium and maximum security is clear.
In the medium security units, you have your own door. You have a key to your door to get in and out on your own. You have a window in your door instead of bars. Where in the max side, where we're at now, neither of those things exist, and you sit on a concrete bunk. And then also mentality. If you feed into the negativity that's produced every day just from being in this setting.
Tony Dameron participates in one of the few programs available here at Pontiac, Defy Ventures, where the men learn skills for business and life.
Let's give it up for Tony!
When we visited the prison, we witnessed a pitch competition, evidence of one of the scant resources of hope some of these men have.
I'm an individual who started out on death row, and in order to get there, they say you have no rehabilitative value, no redeemable value. And here today, completing a pitch for Defy, so it's really big.
Now serving life in prison, Dameron and his 47 classmates will graduate from Defy. For some of them, a first time graduating anything. But Vollen says even with such programming, IDOC isn't doing enough.
We have an opportunity right now. System-wide, the population is down. We are under rated capacity population-wise as compared to what it is our prison system can hold. It's time for Illinois to shut down some prisons.
And the latest numbers show of the 775 inmates at the prison, 537 are on a mental health caseload at Pontiac. Also, Illinois Department of Corrections says it's working to hire more staff by increasing recruiters and having screenings on weekends to accommodate applicants who are still working Monday through Friday at other jobs. It's also implemented a reinstatement process to rehire former officers who left the department in good standing within 18 months of them leaving. Tomorrow, we'll take a look outside the walls at the city of Pontiac and how the prison fits into the community there. Up next, a crucial deadline for Medicaid recipients, what you need to know right after a look at your weather. Millions of Americans are at risk of losing their health care coverage, including hundreds of thousands of Illinois residents. Amanda Venicky joins us now with more on what's at stake and what people can do to keep their coverage. Amanda.
Brandis, during the pandemic, the number of low-income and disabled individuals who received government health care insurance grew in Illinois and across the country. And that's because during COVID, Congress made it illegal for states to kick anyone off of Medicaid. But a change in federal law means Medicaid recipients could soon lose that coverage. States must now return to the pre-pandemic method of making sure that those who receive Medicaid still qualify for it. Here's Governor Pritzker about it earlier today.
Many states rushed to push their residents off a cliff from their Medicaid rolls. But I want to be clear. Here in Illinois, there will be no coverage cliff. Redeterminations and renewals in Illinois are happening through a deliberate and a careful process on a rolling basis over the coming year.
And that is starting now. These ready-to-renew notices will begin to arrive in mailboxes this week. More than 113,000 Illinois cases are up for renewal by June, though half of that the state says it can auto-renew through its own systems. The other half must have their paperwork in by June 1st. So pay attention for an envelope that looks like what you see on the screen.
We want to make sure that people know what they're looking for and that they don't get fooled by a potential scam or something else. So this paperwork or a .gov email address.
As she indicated, there are other options besides snail mail. Visit a Department of Human Services location, or you can go to abe.illinois.gov. ABE, yes, as in Lincoln, though in this case it stands for Application for Benefits Eligibility. Or call 1-800-843-6154. The Secretary of DHS promises the phone system there no longer broken.
We've gone from 7 to 8 hours waiting to talk to an operator to now less than 8 minutes on average. That is absolutely amazing. And if you think about the individuals who are calling that telephone number, nobody has 6-7 hours of their day to wait to talk to a person.
Yeah, nobody has that time. But the most important thing, anyone who receives Medicaid has to make sure the state has current contact information, like an address. Because, of course, you can't very well get that reminder notice in the mail if the state doesn't know where to send it. It's a huge reason why, before the pandemic took hold, that people used to lose their coverage. Tony Bush knows firsthand how vital Medicaid can be.
I was a high school student raising a child at the age of 16 years old and receiving Medicaid. Receiving assistance helped me raise my daughter, complete my high school and college education, and put me on track to become the CEO of PCC.
PCC Community Wellness Center is a federally qualified health center with locations throughout Chicago, including CPS schools. It offers primary, dental, and behavioral health care and treats many patients who use Medicaid. Among the state partners, who is working with Illinois to get the word out on social media and otherwise about all of this. Now, Brandis, Chicago Public Schools also involved in that outreach effort. Families can reach out to CPS's Student Health and Wellness Family Benefits Team for help renewing. And according to the chief health doctor at CPS, about 70% of CPS students do rely on Medicaid for their health care insurance.
Okay, an important deadline for folks who receive Medicaid to keep an eye on. Amanda, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, well, I actually had a question for you, Amanda.
Okay, cool.
What about people who no longer qualify?
For people who no longer qualify, okay, so you might get something else in the mail that says that, but also if you have a renewal form and you fear that you're above that threshold, still fill it out. And then again, really, you want to make sure that the state has your current information on file. Could be used perhaps for other benefits. And then also be in touch with the state, because agencies can help to connect anyone in that situation with a different form of what the state says can offer also affordable and subsidized even healthcare coverage. So again, that deadline, Brandis, as you noted, important one for the first round of folks will be June 1st, but this keeps up. It's a rolling cycle that will go midway through 2024.
All right, and now I'll let you go. Amanda Vinicky, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that is our show for this Monday night. Please join us tomorrow night at 5:30 and 10. Now, for all of us here at Chicago Tonight, I'm Brandis Friedman. Thank you for watching. Stay healthy and safe, and have a good night.
Closed captioning is made possible by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, a Chicago personal injury and wrongful death firm that is proud to recognize its 18 attorneys selected for the 2023 Super Lawyers List.